Each year, beginning in late January or early February, millions of gilded red envelopes are hidden across the UEE. Those fated to find one will discover a good luck token or credit intended as a hopeful sign of a year to come. For centuries, giving friends and relatives red envelopes was one way to celebrate the Red Festival. Yet, it wasn't until 26th century that hiding the envelopes for anyone to find became part of the tradition after the Banu enthusiastically embraced it as a way to honor Kasa, their patron of luck. People took to the new tradition and relished the chance to find a little bit of luck tucked away inside discarded magazine or hiding atop a storage locker at the end of a dark space station hallway. The Red Festival originated on Earth well before humanity explored the stars, when some early cultures carefully observed the moon and celebrated the start of a new lunar year. The holiday eventually became known as the Red Festival, as its reach and influence spiraled further and further away from Earth's orbit. Still, many of the traditions stayed the same, like wearing red and gold for good luck and exchanging gilded red envelopes. Humanity celebrated these traditions for millennia before colonists took them to Mars when it was settled in the 22nd century. While the Red Festival was celebrated on the Red Planet, its popularity wouldn't explode until the early 25th century, when an explorer claimed it helped him make history. And many others came to believe that celebrating it would bring luck to their journeys. Today, the Red Festival is more popular than ever and widely celebrated across the UAE and Banu Protectorate. So, how did a holiday focused on Earth's lunar solar cycle become so beloved? Well, it started with the United Empire of Earth, UNE, formed in 2380 to unify all of Earth's nations under one government. It was an historic moment meant to bring people together and facilitate humanity's expansion into the stars. At that time, Earth was in a precarious position. Despite having terraformed Mars and the new system of Croshaw, humanity's homeworld was still desperately overcrowded, and pristine wilderness was becoming incredibly scarce. Pollution choked many major cities, and people's quality of life was in decline. While advances in commercial spacecraft and terraforming tech made living off-world possible, it remained extremely expensive to leave Earth and surprisingly difficult to convince people that life off-world might actually be better. To address the issue, the UNE created the Eastern Expansion Program to support nav jumpers on their search for new frontiers and encourage people to fill the colony ships. Program was met with modest success before being rebranded Project Farstar in 2412. Now considered a key driver of the human colonial expansion era, Project Farstar opened offices in major cities across Earth to recruit colonists, aid explorers with subsidized ship upgrades, and more. In late 2429, Wendell Dobbs visited Project Farstar's office in Shanghai and submitted an application to purchase a discounted jump drive. The application was approved, and Dobbs received the component in mid-January of 2430. He rushed to install it, then meticulously cleansed and got it perfect, his ship, so it'd be spotless when the Red Festival began on January 25 of that year. According to legend, Wendell Dobbs spent the next 2 weeks celebrating the Red Festival with his family and reconsidering whether or not to leave them. On the final day of the festival, his family attended a lantern mini festival where Dobbs helped his daughter with a particularly difficult riddle. The two spent hours talking into the impressive lanterns and taking them in and talking through solutions when the answer suddenly struck him. Dobbs looked up and saw a solitary lit red lantern rising and floating away into the sky, away from everything else, off on its own. Convinced it was a sign, he noted its course. Then he said goodbye to his family, raced to his ship, and flew in the direction of where the Red Lantern was headed. Days later, Dobbs discovered the jump from Sol to Davian, upending contemporary scientific thinking that predicted no additional jump points existed in the Sol system. Flash forward to today, many people wonder if Wendell Dobbs' story about the Red Lantern might have been a little bit embellished. They point to numerous voyages Dobbs took into that sector of Sol before receiving his jump drive. On those trips, he tested and refined new scanning techniques that, after his discovery of Davian, other explorers adopted, and inventors integrated into more advanced jump scanning technology. His success inspired others to try and find their luck, launching on the final day of that year's Red Festival. The practice became so commonplace that several landing zones were forced to place a cap on launches on that day to reduce congestion. They eventually instituted a lottery system to allure launch slots after an investigation by the UNA revealed that some landing zone officials were selling the slots to the highest bidders. Shanghai also became considered a lucky place to launch. People traveled from across the world to leave from that landing zone. Many of them celebrated the Red Festival. For decades, Project Farstar office in Shanghai recruited and helped send more colonists to live off-world than any other. The colonists' eagerness to go, combined with their calms about what life was really like on these new worlds coming back, convinced millions more to follow. They did, and brought the traditions of the Red Festival with them. In the 25th century, one of the biggest off-Earth celebrations of the Red Festival occurred in Davian, where in 2438, humanity first encountered the Banu. Since then, Banu traders became a staple of the system and knew to stock their merchantments with red items and gilded envelopes all around that Red Festival. While no one knows exactly who hid the first envelope for someone to find, the tradition in Davian started and was then expanded system by system. Hiding and searching for these lucky envelopes became commonplace across the empire, and by the early 26th century, as this tradition grew in popularity, so did the Red Festival. All thanks to Wendell Dobbs' discovery of Davian. The millions of colonists who celebrated the Red Festival, and the Banu, who adopted and evolved into its traditions. This was a dramatic reading of a original Jump Point 10.1. So it's a little dated, but it covers the Red Festival. And it's an event I think a lot of backers forget. If you're newer to the community, we celebrate basically a in-game event. And it's basically around the Lunar New Year, Chinese New Year. If you call the festival something different where you're from, I wish you a wonderful holiday. It's basically in that same ballpark. So around the Lunar New Year, around the Chinese New Year, we have a multi-week long festival. It's about 2 weeks long, and usually there is envelopes defined all over the place, and this is the lore that talks about where this all came from. So we've celebrated this event actually quite a few years now. It's the year of the dragon, so it's a very exciting time, I think. And technically, in lore, this will be the 2954 Red Festival. So it usually occurs around when the Lunar New Year is happening. And as a reminder, it's multi-weeks long. Apologies for the noise. Working on a new setup. And Lunar New Year this year is around February 10th. So it's on February 10th, Year of the Dragon. There should be some pretty interesting themed items that are dragon themed. We've had roosters in the past. We've had all sorts of other animals. And this is a pretty interesting year. I would certainly expect ship paints, maybe weapon paints, and some other interesting things. But probably ship paints are pretty common, especially because we have ship paints for most of the other holidays. I think also with CIG's current goals to embrace all backers across the world, I think that the Red Festival is a wonderful time for them to kind of expand these smaller events that are throughout the year and really celebrate them thoroughly. So I'm not saying at the scale of IAE or ILW or Luminalia. even, which is more applicable, honestly. But maybe a mini Luminalia level of things. Maybe some extra freebies this year. Once again, I suspect ship paints or something like that would be in order, and also ship sales. So in game, maybe not so much, but out of game, of course, there's always the ship sales. In game, what I mean by that is there might be a free fly, but I doubt it. Who knows? Referral and a free fly event is certainly in the cards at all times, but nothing's indicating that. So, where are we at? Envelopes. This event usually has envelopes, and the deal with them is it's a lot like the presents that you find in other parts of the year. You turn them in at the TDCs, at the trade sites, and at the specifically at the kiosks in them or the admin offices, depending on where you're at. And those envelopes usually get you a couple K. When they come out into the PTU or the experimental PTU, I'll be sure to show them how they work, some of the better routes to go through for the main planetary landing locations. And what I love about these events, even if there isn't a free fly event, or especially if there is actually, having this source of income that's reasonable, where a player can chain out a reasonable amount of UEC, where they can earn enough to then rent a ship and then run the ship to go do things, is very welcome. It's also just a way to kind of, I think, kind of share the fun while you're waiting for your friends to kind of get ready. I think we've all been there where your friends said they're going to be on in 10 minutes, or I just did this to my buddy from my org, I think 2 nights ago, where I said, "Oh yeah, I'm in microtech," and a DC happened. I ended up back on microtech again. So he having access to these type of envelope events or present events would have been great for him to kind of pass the time and keep earning some UEC while he was waiting for me to show up. So I'd like to see more of these, and it kind of shows like that trend of there needs to be like little mini game like jobs in these locations over time. But that's a topic for a whole nother day. So back to the Red Festival. If you do celebrate Lunar New Year, Chinese New Year, and the other applicable festivals and New Year's events around this time, I wish you the best. I hope you and your family find the next year very well. Um, I think that this event is kind of interesting because it, like other events in Star Citizen, it kind of incorporates a real world holiday and it kind of shares it with everyone, and we all kind of celebrate it together. So while I don't celebrate Lunar New Year, I've certainly, if you notice my avatar, I'm certainly a fan of Luna, and I certainly appreciate its cycles, and it's quite a looker for photography, and I do track the cycles of the moon for my astrophotography hobby. So, yeah, more on that in an upcoming video, by the way. Project Luna. Um, that's a topic for a whole nother video, though. And it's not because I'm trying to hold anything back, but I want to show you the full picture of what I'm aiming for. It's a little less left field, but I strongly suspect many of you have always reflected you're fans of space in general. So if I do a little bit more about the moon, it would be interesting. But I'm not going to try to steal the thunder of this event and this holiday and this wonderful time in the year. So I'm going to give you best wishes, and that's where I'm going to leave you. Thank you for listening to this, especially fans of lore. It's certainly a passion project of mine that not everybody in the community appreciates. And don't forget other major lore folks and not so major lore folks in the community. If you ever check out their channels, be sure to give them a like, give them a comment that gives them a boost, especially when there's like 10 views or 100 views or something on their videos max. Because lore tends to be something I love to do when I have the time and energy and passion. But it certainly is a labor of love, not really something that's popular. And I'd love to change that. I know there's been a few other folks who have said the same thing. And shout out to Jail, Astropub slash Astrohistorian. Those kind of folks, they're really the bread and butter of it. That really embrace it very well. And if you ever are interested in doing a lore-based content, reach out to me. I'll gladly do co-reads. So I've done some in the past. Toast, I know you're listening. Thanks for sticking with me through the tracker videos and such. And I hope to have some more bounty hunter talks very soon about Pyro. All right, for real this time. That's all from me. Yes, I'm still here. Yes, my voice is getting better. Thanks. Oh, and this is an old mic I'm with an old audio chain, but it's, I guess, new to the channel. So if you have any feedback on that, let me know. All right, take care.